Okay, let's do it then. All right, ready? Are you ready, Misty?
Yes.
Misty's ready. Let me turn your sensitivity up just a little bit. I think if you hold it up pretty close to your mouth, I haven't used it for anything nasty.
You might want to do a smell
That's
check
good.
on that mic.
No, I've only used it to record guitar, and the guitar solos have been pretty nasty. But okay, I'll stop. 3, 2. Hello, hello there. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
3, 2. Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello there. Thanks again for tuning in to Book Club. I am Ansel Crowder.
I'm Elijah Crowder.
And I am Dylan Crowder.
And this week we will be discussing the book Paddle to the Amazon, the ultimate 12,000-mile canoe adventure by Don Starkel is how I pronounce it. Did you guys say Starkel? That's how I said Starkel.
I did. I grew up in
said
Mississippi,
Starkel.
so yeah, I said Starkel.
All right, so I'm the only one who pronounced it Starkel, but okay, we'll go Starkel. Majority rules. It's basically everything you need to know about the setup is in the title. It's about a guy, Don, who goes on a 12,000-mile canoe adventure. The longest, as far as I know, has never been surpassed.
That I can confirm that. I looked that up. It is still the longest canoe trip in recorded history.
There we go. Fantastic. So the longest canoe trip in world history, and it was accomplished by their power alone. It was the father, Don Starkel, I'm sorry, and his two sons, Jeff and Dana Starkel. And it was a pretty fantastic book, I thought. And joining us here today, a special occasion, we have our dear, dear friend, Misty Smith, to talk about it. Misty, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. I love this book. I actually suggested this book to Ansel.
Hello, Misty.
It's
Thank
one
you
of
for
my
suggesting it. It was a joy.
So you're to blame.
Well,
To
I had
blame?
listened to some of the book clubs, and I was like, I don't like these books.
So,
I was like, I want them to read a book that's actually interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just joking with you.
And it really is like kind of the reason why we started the book club in the first place. It was kind of read things that we would never go out and read on our own. And I read very little nonfiction, and it was great. I enjoyed it.
yeah, I enjoyed it too. I mean, not just to go out of our comfort zone. I think that's one part of book club. The other part is to talk about it too. That's why we're doing this right now. To talk about it with other people, right?
Yes.
So
I didn't get
I'm
that
doing it
memo.
for the bitches.
Okay, well, all right. Well, let's start with let's start in Canada, where the story begins. This guy Don Starkel is Canadian, as is his sons Jeff and Dana. Why don't we talk about his upbringing first before? I mean, because I was Misty and I were kind of talking outside the club. I think there's kind of like a mania to what he's doing. You know, it's like sort of a maniacal quest for ultimate feats of strength, I guess. And then, what do you think is his motivation? What drove him to take on this insane canoe adventure?
Well, I think it had a lot to do with when he was little, he was so mistreated by his father and his stepmother to the point where he had to stand outside in 30 below temperatures while he was waiting for them to come home. And he was about 5 years old then. And then when he actually went to court and they got a choice, do you want to stay with your family or do you want to go to the children's home? He was like, children's home. So, and then he did get a foster family, and that father taught him how to canoe. So,
right. So, I mean, do you think that? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think the like Ceteris Paribus, he just had a normal childhood? Do you think he would still be paddling away to the Amazon?
Well, I mean, like Misty's dead on with it there. He talks about how much canoeing was an escape for him as a child. So, I mean, if the foster family had taught him archery, it'd be a much different book.
Right. I think it is just, that was the genesis for his love for canoeing and outdoorsmanship. But again, there's something else there. There's it's kind of like an adrenaline junkie to push yourself beyond the point that you've ever pushed yourself before.
Yeah,
and I think that goes beyond kind of the love for canoeing and that was instilled by his foster parents.
Yeah. Well, I think Elijah. I think that was used at archery. Like he was like loving the scuba diving in Veracruz. I believe was at Veracruz, Mexico.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I guess there's probably not a lot of scuba diving in Canada, but had his foster family showed him scuba diving.
he may have had the deepest scuba diving record.
Exactly.
12,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe not quite as traumatic an adventure.
Yeah, that's true and funny. But the thing is, I think what spurred it on is the divorce, is it not? Like this, because I mean, basically he quits his job, and I mean it's many years after the divorce, but he starts planning it after the divorce. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, according to him, but I think he's probably, I don't know. I think he had this up his sleeve for quite some time.
I think he just wanted to live, and he didn't feel like he was living doing the day-to-day job.
Yeah, I'm with Miss. I think that's a good point, Missy.
He does say later on that he's happy that he plans and does instead of letting life pass him by, which is a direct quote, but I can't give you the page number. I just finished reading it, but so I know that's correct.
Well, I guess let me just start and say this. Like he'd asked his two sons, or I guess we're probably closer to Don's age now. Would you do anything would you go on such a trip or do anything like this? Have you ever wanted to do something like this? Do you think
I'll just go ahead and say
this?
yes. Like Misty just said, the desire to live, like that's one of my main big complaints about modern life is there's no real adventure. Ansel, I don't know if you remember this, but when I graduated from high school, my plans originally were to be a hobo for a period of time. You kind of talked me out of that.
I don't remember that, and I don't remember talking you out of it. I don't remember talking you out of hoboery, but I could see.
Well, you did.
So, should I apologize, or should I say you're welcome? I don't know.
It's not too late.
Yeah, that's true.
It's never too late to hobo.
Right.
I'm going to get you a T-shirt with that on it.
But no,
it should be a bindle. You should really want a bindle with that on. Is that what those things are called? The sacks that you tie on a stick?
Well, I'm thinking about that song Where Have All the Cowboys Gone, but you just change it to hobos and make that like your theme.
That's already the theme for Austin City Limits, isn't it?
No, that's Home with the Hobo Dillos.
Please tell me where have all the hobos gone to? Cena Fire, burning down by the Rusty Railroad track.
Oh, that's a John Prine tune. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, after reading this, I do kind of have a desire to do something, not necessarily on this magnitude, but I don't know if you guys have heard of, like, the Appalachian Trail.
I was just thinking that.
it goes from, through the Appalachian Mountains. I think I would eventually like to attempt to through hike the AT, as we call it.
Friends of the show.
I've also read a book, a true life story about a guy who did that as well. And he was very overweight. He didn't quite make it all the way, but he did really good, I think.
Now, Misty, is this a genre that you like to read, or
I love adventure, true life books. Yes,
I didn't know that about you. In fact, when you recommended this, I figured you would recommend like John Irving or something like that.
He's also my favorite.
Yeah,
like
but I mean,
John
I was
Irving.
like surprised that this would be in the travel section of a bookstore, I would think.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So yeah, that's cool. I did not know that about.
And
it.
yeah, that's just another example. Like when I'm in a bookstore, I never go into the travel section. It's always fiction, literature, sci-fi, fantasy. I always think
I like all that too.
Well, yeah.
But
I'm just
only,
saying that I never thought of a book of this kind of caliber being in that section. I always thought of it as kind of dull, technical writing instead of the actual. It does have a really good narrative to it.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I think this is a question I have. Like, do you think it would still be as interesting if the feat were not as sort of record breaking, so damn astonishing? Would it still be that? Do you think the writing style and the journal entry type presentation?
I think so. Not necessarily the writing style. Like the writing style was kind of mediocre, but from an anthropological standpoint, all the different people he meets and has confrontations with, that was just as riveting for me as the actual endurance required to make the trip.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's a good point.
It was very eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely.
All the different cultures.
And just how I know there are insane examples of people trying to hijack the canoe, pull him over or force him to shore. They were held at gunpoint a few times, but so many sort of to counter that, there's plenty of examples of people who go out of their way to help them, and they really couldn't have done this trip without the kindness of complete strangers, which is pretty interesting to me.
Definitely.
Right, and a lot of those people had nothing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. I was just going to say the generosity of the destitute was which is a thing, but then to actually read it spelled out like that was really moving for me. I like that.
I also kind of noticed that the people that had been more affected by the West and America and modern life, that was the situations where they were more likely to be hostile toward them.
You're talking about Nicaragua and
Colombia, yeah.
When has Nicaragua ever had to deal with the West? I mean,
well, that was.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't pick up on your sarcasm there, Elijah. Sorry, but no, I was just saying, my experience with complete strangers has been more like the Texas style, go and get type,
Get off my land.
Yeah, with the
These colors don't run.
Yeah, these colors don't run, boy.
I didn't catch that answer. What'd you say?
I said, my experience with complete strangers has been more like they have in Texas, where, they're like, get off my land.
No, that's not what you said. What did you say? I think you said something like, go on.
Get. Go on, get.
Go on, get. Don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Nicaragua.
To get back to your question, I don't know if I would take my child on something this dangerous.
The answer is no. The answer is already no. What do you mean you don't know?
No, but
you wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it.
Something in this book. I mean, I did have a few adventures, and strangely enough, one was in Texas and Mexico. But something in this book really got me to thinking about how much I really would like to just live on an island somewhere with, with enough stuff that you could live on it and not starve to death. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
I know you can have that romantic view of that, and I agree that would be great. But I'm way too I bought way too much into the Google ecosystem of products, like their Gmail, their Google Play Music. I don't think I could live on an isolate.
I'd give it all up happily to live on lobster and coconut for the rest of my life. I would, honestly. But I have familial responsibilities, and the thing is, once those are, once I'm old enough to where my survival really doesn't matter, that's what I'm going to do.
So when I win the lottery, I've already decided that I'm going to buy an island in Panama. So you're all welcome. And Elijah, you can live on the rough part of the island.
Yeah, the part without electricity.
Yes. And then whoever,
Sweet.
Ansel included, can live on the other side.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan. I'll hang out with Elijah until I get sick of it and go inside and check my email.
Yeah. Yeah, you could use my computer if you want.
And I'll have nothing to do with any of your modern gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I do get it, Elijah. It is very tempting to just, throw it all. And like I said, I wanted to be a hobo. I wanted, I want to have that kind of adventure in my life.
Yeah.
That you don't get when you, wake up at 8 every morning and go to work for 9 hours and come home and watch local news.
You get to sleep
ready to
in
go
bed
again tomorrow.
I can get dressed really quickly. The key is you shower the night before. You don't shave ever. And then 5 minutes you're out the door.
Yeah, you got the hobo thing down except the shower part. I think they just don't do that part either.
Which I just do that for other people's benefit.
Oh, okay.
I could totally do without that.
Yeah, he'd be saving himself even more time.
I don't think you could actually. I don't know. Me personally, I don't like being dirty. Like if you're getting all sweaty, you got to get a shower.
Right.
You can't not get a shower.
Because Don and Dana, they were just completely covered with salt for, days and weeks, and how much sweat and the salt from the sea even. Oh my gosh. I would be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I
As would I.
get used
And,
to it
they
after a
talked
while.
about how refreshing it was when they did get a shower, so.
That's just because we've been conditioned to enjoy those sorts of things.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Our capitalist masters.
Well, certain things I'm okay with, like deodorant. I think deodorant's a good thing.
It is. Deodorant in Europe doesn't work, but that's why I import mine to here, and Old Spice, friends of the show. Deodorant here doesn't work. It just flat out people use it, and it serves no purpose.
Yeah, I don't have a sense of smell anymore. I don't know, so I can't help you there. Okay, let's one of the things I'd asked you was would you do something like this? And I kind of got some disparate types of yes, I would. But let me flip the script a little bit, put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. What have you done that is most like this? Like, have you had some sort of ultimate quest or ultimate goal that you succeeded, or that you tried and failed? What have you done in your life that is most like the ultimate 12,000-mile canoe trip to the Amazon?
Who's going first? Misty? Go first.
Yeah, let's let Misty take this first.
So nothing at all. And in college, I did work at McDonald's for 2 summers, and I sent myself to Europe by myself for 6 weeks. And to me, that was a huge accomplishment at the time because I was so, I don't know, timid, I guess. But I still had, running water, and I mean, the hostel lost power one day, but other than that,
That's still pretty awesome, though. You were like, what,
Yeah.
19,
I think I was 20.
20, and you just went to Amsterdam for 6 weeks?
I went to London, then Amsterdam, and then London again.
That's pretty awesome.
It was fun.
Very
It was
cool.
a lot of fun. I met one of my best friends there, and we're still friends.
Very nice.
But nothing like
Awesome.
this. Okay, Elijah, your turn.
Me. I went down to Mexico and stole a horse.
I've never heard this story.
Wait a minute. Let's pretend we didn't hear that. Let's save that for last, so we can have some sort of.
I gave it back.
Wait. Listen. let's do. Let's pause that. Let's do.
Yeah, I don't want to
something
have
that's
to
not quite
follow
so-
that.
Yeah, nobody wants to follow that, Elijah. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's let
It's
that
not
be last, because that's.
it's not that great of a thing. But yeah, go ahead.
Dylan, what have you done?
I paddled down like a creek one time. It was in it was somewhere in Tennessee. I forget the name of I think it was like
Ocoee.
Bear Creek, but there's no.
Bear
was
Creek. I think it was
just
at
a small
Tishomingo
little-
State Park, I believe. Was it not? In Mississippi?
No.
Nice.
This was a different time. I went up to Tennessee with a couple of my roommates from college, post college.
Yeah, there's a Bear
I-
Creek north of Shiloh in Tennessee, isn't there?
I don't know. Like there's tons of Bear Creeks everywhere. I'm not.
Yeah, there's probably
100%
way
sure
more than
where
one.
it was, but
Yeah, I think it's probably like John Smith, like names for creeks. Bear Creek is
Or the-
probably
The Wildcats sports team.
the Wildcats or the Tigers.
But yeah, funny story. Like we probably paddled maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles. Like these guys were doing 50 miles a day. But at one point on the trip, we pulled into a little cave, and we went inside, and deep within this cave, we could hear this rhythmic breathing coming from deeper in the cave, and I was like, that sounds like
Was
a
that Bear
hibernating
Cave?
bear. Let's get out of here. Yeah. I was terrified. My roommate at the time was like, let's go check that out. And I was like, you're crazy. You're a crazy person. But I followed him because I'm apparently a crazy person too.
You feel like Crazy needs a sidekick.
Yeah. It turns out there was like some type of bird. It was dark and it was a cave. It was like, puffed up and breathing real heavy to try and scare us off. And it almost worked.
Protecting her eggs, probably.
Yeah, I do believe that's what she was doing.
Well, I guess I avoid the whole "there's two kinds of people in this world" type stuff, but I guess there are like two types of people in this world, as far as like people who will like just go and try stuff out that might be terribly dangerous, like
Deadly.
yeah, like Don Starkell, he went into that like marijuana farmer's hut, like that was
Right, to look at
locked
the
up in red
marijuana
tape.
seeds.
Yeah,
and-
and just like I wonder what's behind this red tape. And
Right.
And where was that? Was in Colombia, was it not?
I'm pretty sure that was in Colombia, yeah. And then, or like I think it was an anaconda on a stick. He's like pushing it with a stick, prodding it.
He thought it was a boa, and then realized it could kill him because it
And
wasn't.
that was a
it,
huge snake. I forgot
Yeah,
how big it was,
wasn't.
but
I think he said
I think he said-
20 feet long.
I think he said 20 feet long. That's what the
Yeah.
number that
And
popped
it's-
Yeah,
up.
and as big as
Big as his
round
waist.
as a man's waist.
right. Yeah, I see it.
So he's like, yeah, let's poke it with a stick.
Yeah. I'd estimate its weight at 300 pounds.
This is where Steve Irwin got his his inspiration was Don Starkell.
Well, I mean that's
Maybe.
that's what I'm saying. Like two kinds of people. Like I can't imagine doing anything like that. Or when they go to that, I think it was a Mayan ruin in Mexico, and they sort of pull up on the shore and they get in early before the park opens. That sounds awesome, but I wouldn't even do that because I guess I'm a little bit too
You might get in
Trouble
trouble.
Get
laced.
arrested.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get in trouble in that way. But he don't give up.
He does not. And honestly, the next book is even crazier. He does it again. He paddles to the Arctic.
Arctic. This is from Winnipeg. Or is it from Winnipeg again? He goes and takes a different
he
waterway?
starts off way up north. Anyway, that was really crazy. He really, literally almost died every single day.
And he was by himself, you told me, right?
Most of the time, it was by himself. He ended up with
Yeah,
frostbite terribly.
I was doing a little bit of research on that, and apparently, he lost the tips of his fingers to frostbite.
Right. The top 2 joints of most of his fingers and all of his toes, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he even wrote, when he had those gaping salt wounds in his leg, he was like, well, iodine's going to suck, but I guess it's probably a little better than losing my foot. I was like, no shit.
You don't say.
So, Ansel, you got what's your adventure story?
My adventure story is actually somewhat impressive. I went for an entire month without electricity 1 month.
I remember that.
I remember that too.
And I set my mind to it. It's me and my roommate, Jason Backus, and our other roommate, John Zelasco, who went into it. I think he went into it not happy about it one bit, but he was kind of he was our new third roommate, and we'd already decided this before, and we probably didn't tell him that, oh yeah, by the way, February, we're not going to have electricity. And I think he hated it at first, but I think he came around. But yeah, me and Backus and Z, me, Jason, and Frank. That's the closest thing I think I've ever done to this. And I mean, I thought that was a big deal, but compared to the ultimate 12,000-mile canoe adventure, I don't think it's that special.
Yeah, y'all told me the way you would make your shirts smell good is you would take a dryer sheet and rub it over them.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
Couldn't, wash or
That
dry
was well, brother Frank came up with that, I believe, because we worked in the same sandwich shop together, and we were. I mean, this is we going back to deodorant full circle. Deodorant can only do so much, so we had to. We did the dryer sheet thing. What else did we do? We basically went insane. We really did have cabin fever pretty bad. So we were hallucinating. We were, sort of moody, depressed, having a hard time. And then as soon as the power came back on, we were fine again. But yeah, again, pretty cool, a big accomplishment, but nothing compared to the ultimate 12,000-mile canoe adventure. Elijah, have you done anything exciting before?
Nah.
No, you have to finish your story.
Join the army. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's probably harder than.
Was it a Shetland pony?
No, I really don't remember.
Appaloosa.
All right, we're on a time thing. I'll make a long story, a very, very long story, extremely short.
No, we got time.
In Appaloosa.
I knew it.
We were in Big Bend National Park, Southwest Texas. Michael Hill, good friend of mine, friend of the show. And he brought along his girlfriend at the time and another good friend, and the four of us decided we were going to spend 7 days in the desert. So that involved carrying enough water and everything, up to the top of this mountain, which was an 8-mile hike, and then coming back down the same day to reload on water. I think we were all carrying about, I don't even remember. It was so long ago. It was a shitload of water. And set up base camp. But right there at Big Bend, and at the time there really wasn't a big border issue with Mexico. And you could just kind of walk back and forth across the Rio Grande, and or you could pay these Mexicans in a canoe $4 and they would carry you across and try to sell you peyote, but we didn't have money, so we just swam across. And So yeah, there was this little like no shit adobe village called Boquillas del Carmen right across the border, and it was a surreal experience. They had little girls selling thread bracelets, and there it was all adobe, and we went to the one bar that was there, and let me see. Make sure I'm telling this correctly, okay? Hold on. Because my memory gets a little fuzzy at that point.
Was there a horse at this bar?
No.
The only thing I can think of is
There was.
I'm going through the desert on a horse with me.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the horse's name either. All right. So this is how it came to be. I came to be a horse thief in Mexico. We get to the bar. And no joke, there's an old blind man in there playing a guitar, and a bartender, and no one else. And we sit down, the four of us, and we order some beer, and we get the like Tecate, whatever the Mexican beer brand is, and it's in a hot can. So we each have a hot beer, and we pull out a deck of cards, and we're gonna play cards in Mexico, you know. Movie stuff. And we start playing spades, and the sheriff of the town comes in and introduces himself and gives us a bottle of a liquor called Soto, or that he called Soto. I have no idea. Maybe he was making this up as he went. Apparently it has mescaline in it, and I didn't know that at the time. So as we're playing a game of spades, I'm looking at the Suicide King on the card, and he kills himself. Like
they were playing spades. Is it really spades? They play spades in Mexico?
Oh, we did. We were 4 Americans, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Suicide King put the sword the rest of the way through, and I like got up to vomit immediately because I'd never hallucinated before, and so I ran outside and vomited profusely. And see, I can remember this pretty clearly. This kid comes up, and strange thing about me, my Spanish gets really good when I'm inebriated. And the kid says, "Hey, mister, I'll let you ride the horse back to the border for like 8 pesos or something." And I'm like, "Kid, I got no money." And he just goes on and on trying to take advantage of this drunk American tourist kid. And eventually I said, okay, let me get on the horse and try it out first. And the kid said, yeah, and I climbed on the horse and slapped it on the butt and rode it a mile to the border.
Off into the sunset?
Yeah. And when I got to the border, close to the border, I realized that the kid and his father were in a pickup truck chasing me. So I hauled the horse up at the river and jumped off and swam to the American side and waited for my friends who arrived.
Yeah, that's not as noble a story as the Starkell story.
No,
but
it's not.
It's still
it's not
interesting.
No,
You're still running for your life.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm on the other side.
But you were kind of the
river.
bad guy in this situation.
Yeah.
Nothing.
He wasn't bad. He was messed up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as the sheriff was extremely friendly, though. I remember that. But that was an adventure. That was I came out of that week feeling like I had done things that I don't remember, and feeling like the things I did remember were pretty epic. So, and the kid got his horse back, and then the dad kind of smiled and was like, "Yeah, you're okay, dude. You're fine."
And y'all high-fived, and then
no, I was on the other side of the Rio Grande. They didn't dare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Antonio Banderas came in with his guitar case.
Yeah.
That had like a rocket launcher in it.
And then Machete showed up. And that's when I knew it was time to go.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the book a little bit. The Kuna Indians, who I believe were in Panama. I'm not sure about that, but I think they were in Panama. It was pretty interesting. The thing that I thought, the thing that's going to stick with me the most about this book was something that Don wrote about the Kuna Indians. He said that the way that they treated them was in the correct order, or like, you know.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he said like they treated them the way human beings ought to be treated, and in the correct order. It was accommodation, cleansing, food, and then business. It was like after that other stuff, then it was like, okay, let me see your papers. What are you doing?
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, that is. It seems like a real human. The correct. I mean, it's like the opposite order in our society. I would say, but like the correct order from human being to human being should be that, should it not?
Yes.
I don't know. Did that strike a chord with any of you, or am I just sappy?
No, I remember that part.
Yeah, that definitely stood
I
out.
remember that part too, and it's interesting because it's the exact opposite order of everyone else he encounters in Central America and South
Right.
America, basically. Yeah.
So anyway, I would shout out to the Kuna Indians.
That kind of goes back to the point I made earlier of, it seems like the less civilized the people were, the more, for the lack of a better term, human they were towards the Starkles.
I think less civilized is maybe not the best choice of words there.
Yeah, I agree. Less
Okay.
westernized.
Yeah, the less westernized. Yeah, because I mean they were civilized. They had
Civilization.
they weren't running around buck naked. You know what I mean?
Right, but I mean they had been warned about the various Indian tribes about them being, savages and cannibals and whatnot, but they were uniformly
nicest.
treated well by the natives.
Yeah, that is true.
One of the parts that stuck out to me, not on subject, was when they were in Mexico and they were very, very thirsty. They had no water, and they did get some water from these Mexicans, and they had put perfume in it. And so they were scared to drink it, so they put Clorox bleach in it to make it drinkable too, which in my mind, that was crazy.
That's even worse than,
Yeah.
And then it reminded me one time I knew this crazy guy who was trying to actually pass a drug test, and he decided to drink a capful of Clorox bleach. Anyway,
Oh my God.
He didn't fail the drug test, did he?
he did fail the drug test, and he threw up the rest of the day. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say like you probably didn't live to take the
so
drug
don't
test.
do that, kids.
They busted him for being a bleach head.
Yeah, but I do know like I mean you are supposed to like. You can clean like stainless steel. You're supposed to use bleach every now and then. I don't because I think like I don't want to use bleach on the stuff that I'm eating out of. But yeah, there is like a ratio that's safe for human consumption.
I guess so, because they didn't say they got sick or anything.
Right. Well, they did get sick. Oh, how about that when they were just like too sick to even move on that sandbar in the Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
That was all.
They kind of had it coming. They were just drinking straight from the river, and
Right.
And then he even says like, "I was drinking from the river, and it was under the water was crocodile shit. Now we're sick." Like,
Yeah.
And they had those intestinal parasites.
Right. Yeah. Well,
And like they weren't taking their malaria pills because
Yeah,
made
they weren't taking them-
weak and drowsy.
Right.
yeah. Well, and that
malaria pills make us feel bad. Oh, malaria's worse.
Yeah. Well, like that's the only time I think I laughed in the book was when he was kind of talking about, I guess when he was close to or I think right before they got into the Amazon, he said that he shouldn't have to worry because I have a pretty good, or my resistance to disease is pretty good. And he was like, well, that might be a fitting, that'll probably be on my tombstone. His resistance to disease was pretty good. That made me laugh. That was pretty funny.
I wonder if it is there.
It could be. Speaking of dangers, though, like, what do you guys think was the most dangerous thing about this trip? Because I think,
Oh, I know mine.
okay, like, I was thinking about this as, like, they were scared of, and they were taking precaution against certain things, but they were just, like, flying in the face of death all the time.
Constantly.
And like not even worried about it. So what do you guys think is the most dangerous part of their trip? What do you think that they are the luckiest to have survived?
I'll have to say that it's passing through the Nicaraguan and Colombian coast, simply because the people there were so hostile.
Yeah, that was
and I think
that
it's
was a
even on
tense
page
moment when they had to paddle past Bluefields. And they had to, they took the long way around, and they spotted them and shot at them, and they were just kind of paddling the long way around. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was super.
And I think it's on page
edge of
1
your
where
seat.
he says that they've encountered crocodiles and sharks and blah blah blah, but the only creatures they've had any problem out of were people.
He did say that. Yep.
To me, the craziest thing they did was that time they paddled at night, and they could not
Ding,
see
ding, ding.
anything.
Yeah.
And they were, and then Don was falling asleep.
Yes, and they were
then it was like,
hallucinating.
wake the f up,
You
Dad.
can like, and they were like paddling without like life jackets, even, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then they couldn't see the waves. They couldn't tell if they were breaking or not. Yeah, I think that was
That's
insane to me. Like
crazy.
that is like, you're really tempting fate by going, or just like, even tired or not. I think if you go out into the ocean in a canoe
at
at night and you can't see, yeah, that is insanely dangerous to me. But I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm not a canoeist.
I was just going to say,
not a canoodler.
being somewhere where you could be capsized under a canoe and having life jackets on would be more dangerous than not having them on. Because they
Disagree.
could buoy you into the canoe and keep you from being able to get out of it once it's flipped.
You can go down a little bit when you're in a life jacket. It's not like you're perfectly buoyant.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you are
a little bit.
perfectly buoyant, but
Little
you're not.
bit, but you're fighting surf and waves and undertow and everything at that point too.
Well, the canoe.
And panic is going to set in.
Yeah. All right.
Back to John Irving. In one of his books, one of the little kids, they always hear the word undertow, but he heard undertowed. So he thought there was always an undertoad in the ocean. Huge toad about to grab them and eat them.
Yeah. I think.
Part of every day.
Well, the stingray, the freshwater stingrays. Actually, sometimes I stopped when I was reading this book and I Googled. I did a little Peter Googlage, and I would like the freshwater stingrays. I'd never seen a freshwater stingray before. I pulled it out. Those things are freaking terrifying. Have you seen a freshwater stingray? Any of you?
That's what kills
I'm
Steve
looking it
Irwin,
up
isn't
now.
No, that was an ocean one.
Yeah, that was a regular. I mean, they're regular stingray. I mean, okay, a freshwater stingray doesn't really look all that different,
Oh.
but it's just like the size of.
Oh God, yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, I mean they're the size of
I have not seen them then.
like
a table?
no like
Like giant
your floor.
tortoises.
Like I mean, you guys can't
My
see it, but
living room?
yeah, your whole living room. That's how big they are. They're gigantic.
That's scary.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would be fine with an undertoad if the undertoad ate the freshwater stingrays. And the what other animal was it that they talked about? Well, I guess the snake I'd never heard of, the fer-de-lance, I think it was called.
The fer de lance, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of that before, but I looked it up too, and it just looked like a regular ass snake.
That is a big stingray.
Yeah.
And the catfish that they found, like the heads alone were 1.5 feet across. And that's just the head part.
Yeah.
There's some huge catfish.
And I was proud of myself for like when he was describing the mud skipper, and I was like, that sounds like a mud skipper. And it was like, oh yeah. It was like pat on the back.
I actually bookmarked
Wildlife.
that page because that's my fantasy baseball team name.
It is,
Mud
yeah.
Skippers,
Ah.
yeah. And he talks about how they pop up for just a little bit and then sink to the depths below.
A lot like your fantasy team.
A lot like my fantasy team.
That's cold.
Exactly like my fantasy. I think the most dangerous thing they did was on page 224. He says down at the bottom, our plan was to round Punta Penis at the tip. And that... I mean, sorry, a few lines under that. Hold on. No, I mean, if you know anything about Punta Penis,
You can't just round the tip.
You can't round it at the tip. but then
he had a.
they go even one further. A few lines under that, it says, "We made our way cautiously around Punta Pinas in 12-foot swells."
That's in character for him. Like he was.
Feeling just the
whacking
edge.
the anaconda too. We talked about that already.
We made our way around Punta Pinas in 12-foot swells, feeling just the edge of the dragon's teeth as we headed south.
It's pretty dangerous. Yeah, I think
you can get hurt doing that. I mean, especially by the dragon's teeth. It's just
you got to keep the dragon's teeth away from Punta Pinas.
But yeah, that and the people in Nicaragua. Those were the two most dangerous things.
The Nicaraguans.
Yeah, well, I mean, like all the crazy times that they were being hijacked and guns. I think the most dangerous thing they encountered for real were the people. And yeah.
What about that?
Well, there was also the time that they were like marooned in
Mexico.
I forget where that was, but
that was
the second time they got
Pesca?
stuck. I want to say it was Venezuela.
Oh, that was what was that place called? Yeah, it was
after surviving the evil
Golfete
de Coro, Venezuela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were going to make it. I mean, I guess that's the one thing about this book. It's kind of like, what do you call that? Like the prequel, like when you know that the characters are going to be okay. It kind of like
plot armor
undermines the suspense, huh? They have a word
plot
for
armor.
Plot armor, yeah.
That's what I need in every book I read, basically.
You need to know that they're going to make it.
I do.
I knew that they were going to get out of that situation, but it seemed pretty dire. I don't know how. I don't know how they.
I like that. No matter what they went through, the trials and tribulations, Dana never let his guitar get away, and it fell in the ocean. It got stolen.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is surprising that the guitar survived, and
now you can book him at weddings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Misty pulled up like a video of him, like a promo video.
Classical guitarist.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Yeah, he's very talented. Mm-hmm. Very fun.
On the flip side of that,
to be his friend on Facebook, but he denied me.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Well, maybe he'll hear this.
On the flip side of the guitar making the journey, like Don was like really careless with essential things. Like he left his sleeping bag hanging from a tree. Like he would leave machetes just laying behind shoes.
Yep. His netting.
Yeah, like
netting.
What the hell, dude? Like, do you not want to live?
Yeah, that's and just, I mean, a side note here. Another reason I couldn't do anything like this is because of the damn bugs. Like, I don't think I could like be bitten by bugs all the time and be okay with it. I think that would just annoy the fire out
At
of me.
one point, he had like potato sacks or whatever it was all over his body to try to ward off the bugs.
He was sleeping in the jungle like they had met that family, which I do want to talk about, the family who had pacas as pets and a blind three-toed sloth.
Yeah.
And the sloth was blind because the ants had come down at night and eaten his eyes while he was asleep. I mean, the epitome of laziness. But like he but he's sleeping outside, and those same ants, the same ants you were saying the bugs biting all the time, the same ants that ate the sloth's eyes are crawling around and biting him at night, and his solution is to climb higher in the tree and sleep.
That's probably why I couldn't do this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing, you remember, Ignacio's Island. That was another crazy thing. It goes back to there are two types of people in this world. He goes up to Ignacio's little island, and he scares Ignacio away. You guys remember that? It's like I don't remember where, but it's like this little island, and he's got this sort of shanty, and he's cooking, and he runs away, and he sleeps in his bed, and his bed is small and is full of fleas, but he doesn't care. He just sleeps in this dude's bed. That is that's insane. Like that Ignacio is probably traumatized for the rest of his days because Don just thought he had thought he could just go into somebody's home and sleep in their bed. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then the family, remember they did that. Is that the time we were talking about, or a different time where they found a shack and the family started to, like, come back for the day?
Oh,
and
no.
they were like, "That's okay, you stay there, you stay there."
No, that was a different time. No, yeah, this is like way before. I think this was in Belize, or no, not Belize, Honduras or somewhere like that.
Like in Brazil or something.
Yeah, no, it was it was a sign on, which is it's funny just to have your name like on a sign on an island. I imagine, like, I have a cartoon imagination a lot of times. I just imagine like this. Like a Wile E. Coyote sign in the lawn that says Ignacio. Can you imagine like having a sign in front of your house that just says Elijah?
I do.
We will have that in Panama on our island.
On our island, yeah, sure.
I'll just have a sign that says "Get off."
Do not feed the hobo, or maybe it should be feed the hobo.
Do not round Punta Pinas.
Right. That's going to be on your gravestone.
Yeah. It can be dangerous. Avoid the dragon's teeth. The family, though, that had the three-toed sloth, they have these animals, and there's a photo in the book. Unfortunately, there's no page numbers for the photos, but it's on 220.
Yeah, I think it's the very last photo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're holding these little animals called pacas, and then I had to go back to the photo because you see the photo before you read that part. That's what they're eating. That she serves them that.
Yes, I
and
remember
gives
that.
them the leg of one, and then when they're leaving, the guy wants to kill one to show them that he can kill one.
Yes.
That's but it also mentions that they could never get these children to smile, and I'm like, no fucking wonder. They're just eating all their pets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm not making a joke, really.
You can have
really
a pet
sad,
pig and still eat bacon. It's not. It doesn't make you sad. I think they were just sad because they had no forms of entertainment, and they were always being bitten by bugs.
Yeah, that could be. I just think, if you're
sure
holding
the
a
food
pet,
was
you
never...
know you may be eating tomorrow.
No, they weren't eating those ones. It's different.
How can you tell?
Because nobody eats their pet. I mean, that's just how it works. It's not a pet if you're going to eat it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah. Nobody. I mean, it's just nobody would do that.
Okay, well, I guess I'm weird.
Well, duh. But we love you anyway.
Oh, that cat loved me too, but.
Okay, so I guess clock's probably winding down on us. Any last minute outstanding things or things we missed about this book? I feel like, I don't know, we could have the same. We could talk about this book like for 3 episodes in a row and just always have new stuff to talk about. I think it kind of it's fodder for conversation. I think this book, does that make sense? I think it's
yeah, that does. One thing I do want to mention is that on the Mississippi River portion of the journey, there were several mentions of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes,
which our father has retired from, and it just felt really good to me that every instance of that he mentions the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is really positive, and I took some pride out of something that I had nothing to do with whatsoever.
Yeah. No, I share that, Dylan. I was like, yeah, it's cool to see, like, people who are beneficiaries of the Army Corps of Engineers, because like just to see what our father did for a living from another perspective is pretty cool.
I agree. I caught that too and thought, wow. And he even praises. He talks about how miraculous it is that they're able to do what they do, and it is when you think about it. We grew up on those locks and dams, but to be able to create a river system pretty much is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I want to mention how 3 of them started the journey, and then Jeff gave up when they started doing the ocean paddling. And I think he was probably the smartest one out of all 3. But Don and Dana did make it. They did finish.
I do think it's somewhat, I'm not like the miracle type, other than the ICP, of course, but I think it is somewhat miraculous that they were not killed. I think it's amazing that they survived this trip.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably traumatic. I mean, I'm glad they survived, of course, and I'm glad that they left this memento of this journey. But I think it was an insane thing to do. I don't think, if any of us tried to do something like this, I would stop you. I wouldn't just say you couldn't do it. I would stop you. Although I did have a dream last weekend that me, you, and Walden took a trip. We flew up to Winnipeg and we were doing the same journey. It was a pretty cool realistic type dream. It was fun. It seemed nice, but we didn't make it all the way. I mean, I woke up by the time we were out of the Mississippi. So, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. I forgot what my point was, but
it took them 2 years, right?
I think your
Yes,
point is right here in the epilogue when it's talking about what happened to Dana afterwards. The last sentence is, he owns a house in the north end of Winnipeg and has no plans for future adventure.
yeah. Well, I was asking Misty before. I wonder if Dana ever goes to the ocean or any body of water ever. You know what I mean? If he does go to the ocean, I wonder if he has flashbacks because of the sound of the waves breaking. Because I think I would. I mean, I think there's no way that wasn't a hugely traumatic experience. Anyway,
Yeah, probably not.
It was a great book, though. I do really like this genre.
you like this genre? We'll have to get more into this genre. I guess I almost forgot. Let's do the ratings real quick, and let's go.
Ooh, I haven't even. We're getting to where we don't even think about ratings.
Yeah,
until...
I hadn't thought about ratings.
I like that though because it's spontaneous.
It is spontaneous. So
don't pick me first.
All right, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Misty, you go first.
Okay, I would have to give it 3,000 out of 3,000 tiny sandflies.
Nice. That's going to be hard to do graphically, but
Just do a picture of Pigpen from Peanuts, surrounded by a cloud.
yeah. No, I think I know how to do it.
That's a high rating. 3,000 out of 3,000.
I love this book. It's in my top 10.
Yeah, it's a great book. Dylan, are you ready?
Not really, but I can probably come up with something.
I think I'm going to give it. I'll go ahead and you can think about it. 3,000 out of 3,000 sandflies. I'm going to give it the coveted golden canoe nuts. Canoe nuts, of course, are they're like truck nuts, but it's you put them on the back of your canoe. You see them a lot in the South. Sometimes they have
Wrinkles.
You might,
yes, sometimes they do, but not this one. This is solid gold, no wrinkles. The golden canoe nuts.
you might have to explain to some of our more highbrow listeners what truck nuts are.
Oh, I think people know. I think there's certain curios from the South that I think are people. It's like grits. People know what grits are, even though they don't eat them.
Okay. All right. I'll go next. I think I got one. I'm going to give the Starkells Amazing Adventure 2 out of 3 cans of Honduran sausage.
Because only 2 of them made it.
Yeah, only 2. There you go. Enough said.
Is that the thing that almost killed them?
Yeah, that's the thing that almost killed them. and one of the three wasn't subjected to that. And I will say I really, really like the book. The first half of the book, I'm gonna throw a little monkey wrench at. It's the canoeing down the Mississippi and the being stranded in Mexico was a little bit of a plod through, but after that, the book was amazingly gripping.
I agree.
I think you have to get through that first half of the way the narrative is set up, just it being diary entries basically, and I love first person writing. I always have, but I think that plodded along a little too long. I think, and I wish the ending would have been longer. I would have loved to have read more about the Amazon while they were on it, but though they weren't actually on the Amazon, but the Rio Negro before it gets to the Amazon. But all in all, love the book. Great book. 2 out of 3. That many sausages is actually no one gets 3 out of 3 cans of sausages, and lives to tell the tale. So.
Okay, very good. Dylan?
I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 gallons of fresh drinkable water.
Okay.
Wow.
4.5 out of 5 gallons.
That's a good rating.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
Nice.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think we all enjoyed the book. Misty, thank you for introducing it into our lives.
I'm glad you read it.
Yeah, this is. I'll probably read this again later on, because there's just so much to unpack, and it's just a thrilling adventure. I've almost forgot again. We really got to get this thing down. Elijah, you have to pick a book before we can pull this thing into the garage. So why don't I hand this to you? Here you go.
All right. Well, that's heavy. All right. Well, first off, let me set this down. All right. Misty, thanks for being here with us. That was awesome.
Thank you for letting me join.
I think I speak for all of us, even
Thank
though
you,
I
Mr.
don't. Okay, well, there
Thanks,
you go.
Dylan.
I do speak for all of us when, anytime you want to join, come on. We're here for you to throw books at us and laugh at them with us. And so in that spirit, you can be part of the game we're going to play now. I have a game. There are 3 doors. You pick door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. The thing is, these doors are genres, and this is a part of my ongoing series. It's now a 3-part series that I'm starting now. All right. So genre 1, excuse me. Genre number 1
It's not even close.
is. Can you say it for me, Ansel?
Genre.
You know I can't roll my z's. All right. Genre number 1 is sci-fi. That's door number 1.
Wait. You know how the door game works? You know how Let's Make a Door? You can't tell people what's behind the doors.
It's Elijah's game.
The doors are labeled with the genre that's behind them. The book we end up reading is completely in your hands as a team of 3 that have to vote. Okay, so genre number 1 is sci-fi. Genre number 2 is comedy. I'll say historical comedy. Yeah, okay. And genre number 3 is fantasy. So, what's it going to be, ladies and gents?
I don't really get a vote, but I'm going to say my non-vote would be for 3 for you, you Crowder siblings.
Yeah, I think I would like sci-fi, to be honest. I think that's what I would like to read next. Just personally, if I were just picking up a book to read, I would go sci-fi.
Well, see, here's my thoughts. We've done in the recent past both fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm kind of intrigued by historical comedy, whatever that means.
So there's 3 choices.
We've
You've
got a
said
split vote.
3 different things.
Mine doesn't count, so.
Yours counts. You're playing. So, come on, guys. Come together and agree. Be like the Kuna Indians. Be agreeable.
I mean, not to.
No, you're the one that came up with this game. You should have had a contingency plan for this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known.
And me, I'm not trying to be like a douchebag or a jerk, but I would like to give you an out here, and you could just name the goddamn book.
very well.
Or you could do your game. I don't care.
All right.
I say
all right.
historical comedy, and I'm not changing my vote.
Historical
no matter what.
comedy.
All right, historical comedy. I can go with that.
Dylan standing firm. So next 2 weeks from now, we will be reading Christopher Moore's book. It is called Lamb, Lamb, like you eat, The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's Childhood Pal. Got all that? Lamb, The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's Childhood Pal by Christopher Moore. Pick it up, read it, laugh, and then we'll all get together and laugh at it. And as always, Dylan, where can they find us on the tangled mess that is the worldwide stream?
We are at bookclubcast.com, bookclubcast.reddit.com, at Twitter at bookclubcast. Ansel, what else is it?
It's all the social media platforms. If you the username is bookclubcast, one word. You got your Facebook, you got your Twitter. We're also on Instagram now if you prefer your news in photo form. And yeah, just whatever social media platform you use, Book Club Cast will get you there, except for Snapchat. We don't do Snapchat. So,
and why do we not do Snapchat?
I remember telling you why, but I don't remember why I said.
I think he says because Snapchat sucks.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we don't do Snapchat, because Snapchat sucks. I don't really know. I've never used
Also,
Snapchat.
always
They got
remember
cool
the
filters.
first rule of book club is to always talk about book club.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this right now and you tell two friends about book club and they listen to book club
And they tell two friends about
they
book
tell
club.
two friends about book club, that's like 4 friends. And then there are friends. And then we're all friends.
It's a circle.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's call it a book club, guys. Let's stop here. Next week, 2 weeks from now, if you want to join with us, you're going to pick up Lamb, the Gospel According to Biff by Christopher Moore. Did I get that right, Elijah?
It's Lamb, the Gospel According to Biff, Christ's Childhood Pal.
Okay, so you're going to pick that up and read it with us. Looking forward to it. Thanks, as always, guys, for engaging in a book club with me. And Misty, thank you big leave for hanging out with us and doing this. This has been a lot of fun.
Don has the best words.
Thank you, Misty.
He does. All right, see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The surfer made a bill fighting it up. The surfer made a bill fighting it up. The surfer made a bill fighting it up.